All right, good evening. Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope your weekend has been really great. So far we have completed 19 classes as usual, covering 190 most important topics from UPSC Civil Services Examination Prelims perspective. Keep revising, revise regularly. Don't keep anything at the end or for the end because you're left with not more than 28 days now. It is high time. See, anything can be done now, even now, if you have prepared religiously or seriously with respect to core subjects such as history, geography, economics, polity, mental ability. So if you're done with these kind of subjects or these main subjects, do not worry. Still you have enough time. Revise all the subject. Revise each subject at least 2 times before your prelims, and select some themes, important themes such as important rivers, important lakes, places in news, important reports and indices, important bilateral exercises. So select such themes. Maybe there are around 10 to 15 themes which are important from a prelims perspective. Prepare religiously or make notes for those themes. In fact, if you are getting, there are ready-made notes available with respect to those themes. Try to Google for such notes and download. If any of your friends have got, then please borrow such notes. Revise your subjects regularly, at least twice before prelims. Cover these themes, all these thematic areas. Then do not forget to solve at least 10 years of UPSC preliminary question papers. Starting from 2012 till 2022, you have around 11 question papers. Make sure that you go through all these question papers religiously. It's high time now. Stop giving mocks. Mocks given by various institutes. Stop it now. Don't take any new mocks. All those mocks so far you have given, just go through them or revise them quickly. Have a glance over them. Apart from that, if you want to take any new mock tests for prelims to prepare yourselves with respect to time or with respect to approach, maybe just blindly trust me and go for UPSC preliminary question papers only. Pick up some 10 preliminary question papers and sit at the same time. 9:30 to 11:30 is your UPSC GS paper on time. So sit at that time. Appear for appear as if you're appearing for the civil services pre itself. Maybe sitting at the library or at your own comfort in your home. The environment might be different, but make sure that you build that mental environment or emotional environment as that of UPSC. And do not just blindly solve the question paper, or do not solve the question paper just for the sake of understanding your marks, but try to catch the nerve of the examiner, the kind of questions they said, the language that the UPSC uses. So all these things matter a lot. There is a pattern which UPSC usually uses with respect to framing questions. Understand that pattern, and based on these understandings, I assure you, you can increase your prelims scores by at least 35 marks. This is guaranteed. So with that being said, let us begin today's class. Today we shall be covering the next 10 most important topics. That is topic number 191 to 200. All these are important topics. So like I said, most of the questions related to reports, indices or various institutions will be from current affairs context. That is the whatever that has happened in past 1 year. So today we shall be looking at the World Population Report released by UNPFA, National Air Sports Policy, Migration in India, State of Inequality in India report, which is a report released by Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. Then we'll have a look at anthropogenic emission trends. We'll also look at the global methane pledge and then global ocean acidification. We'll have a look at India's Arctic policy, which was recently released, and we'll understand what is Arctic amplification. And at last, we shall look at Mission Live initiative, which was launched by India. So first thing, world population. So what do you need to know here? See, there are a couple of things from this particular topic that you need to understand. First thing, State of World Population Report. State of World Population Report 2023 is published by which institution? This might come as a direct question, huh? Don't worry. So, State of World Population Report 2023 is regularly published or annually published by an institution which works under or which is a part of the United Nations, and it is named as the United Nations Population Fund, that is UNFPA. United Nations Population Fund. Yes, as per this report, the report expects India to surpass China as the world's most populous nation or populous state by the mid of 2023. Not too late. In a just span of 2 or 3 months, India would be the world's, the country with world's highest population ever. So both right now, both India as well as China together account for nearly 2.8 billion of world's population. Right? So this report, this publication discusses and examines changes and trends in global population and demographics. Also, it focuses particularly on nations and population groups and the particular struggles that they encounter. So, what did we learn here? First thing, there is a publication or report which is called a State of World Population Report. What is it? State of World Population Report. Repeat after me. State of World Population Report. It is published by the United Nations Population Fund. It is published by an institution associated with the United Nations, and it is called as the United Nations Population Fund. Yes, things are clear now. Right? Next, like I said, once as per this report or this publication, India surpasses China to become the world's largest populous country. In that case, India would be having 1,428.6 million population. Sorry, 1,428.6 million of population. In this population, in this category, 68% of India's population shall fall in the bracket of 15 to 64 years of age, and there shall be 7% of people who are 65 plus above, and the total fertility rate with respect to India would be 2, and life expectancy would be 72.5 years. But however, China from mid 90s or mid 80s, because of its rigorous policies such as one child policy, two child policy, and those people who are having more than 2 children or one children would not be allowed into government of government of China, or cannot claim any benefits or initiatives or schemes that are given out by Chinese government. So with such strict policy measures, China was successful in controlling its population, and its total fertility rate stands now at 1.2, which is nearly 0.8 lesser than that of India. And if you look at the age population, there is those people falling in the age bracket between 15 to 64 years. 69% of Chinese population falls under this bracket, and 14% of Chinese are 65 and above. So this is a concerning part, because India has a demographic dividend now, which means those people under the working age population, that is 16 to 30, are highest in India. So if this is utilized correctly for the benefit of India, India would be a world leader or superpower in no time. Whereas for China, it is impossible, because its dependency ratio would be increasing now. China's dependency ratio would be now increasing. Alright. So this is about the United Nations World Population Report, UNFPA's World Population Report. So since this is released by some institution which is related to the United Nations, that means we should also know some background or some key facts related to the United Nations Population Fund. So like I said previously, it is a part of the United Nations, and it is a subsidiary organ of the United Nations General Assembly, that is UNGA, and works as a sexual and reproductive health agency, right? Its mandate has been established by another UN agency which is known as United Nations Economic and Social Council. Please remember the mandate, pay attention to my words. The mandate of United Nations Populations Fund has been defined by another United Nations institution which is known as the United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, right? United Nations Economic and Social Council mandates has mandated the functions of United Nations Population Fund, and this population fund was established initially as a trust in the year 1967. However, it began its operations in 1969. And in the year 1987, it was renamed as the United Nations Population Fund. But the original abbreviation, that is UNFPA, even remains right now. Till date, we call it as UNFPA, but the name has been changed to United Nations Population Fund from United Nations Fund for Population Activities. You're getting the point. Why is it called as United Nations Population Fund despite its abbreviation being UNFPA? It is because the United Nations General Assembly did not wanted to change the abbreviation. That's it. It's pretty simple. So the name is United Nations Population Fund and the abbreviation stands for United Nations Fund for Population Activities. That's it. Right? So the objective is to tackle sustainable development goals on health, education and gender equality, which are SDG 3, SDG 4, SDG 5. Sustainable development goals of 3, 4, 5 are directly related to United Nations Population Fund, and it is not supported by the UN budget, that is the budget of United Nations, and it is entirely supported by voluntary contributions of donor governments, intergovernmental organizations, private sector, foundations and individuals. So, three things are important here. One is, who has established the mandate of United Nations Population Fund? First thing. Second thing is its establishment. It was initially established as a trust in the year 1967. Third one is, why is its abbreviation different from the name of this institution? Third thing. Fourth thing, what about its funding? Who is funding the United Nations Population Fund? These things are more than sufficient. Right? We'll move on to the next topic, which is about National Air Sports Policy. So India right now has the potential to become world's biggest air sports industry or tourism related to air sports. So in this regard, what was missing? A policy was missing. So for that matter, a policy has been brought out now. But the point which we as aspirants should remember is that which ministry has released this policy, that is India's National Air Sport Policy. It has been released by not Ministry of Sports, but by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. This is pretty confusing. Please pay attention to this particular point. The National Air Sports Policy was not released by the Ministry of Sports, but it was released by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Alright? As a policy, it has been created using feedback from policy makers, air sports practitioners and the general public. But the overall goal is to create an ecosystem for air sports in the country that is safe, economical, accessible, entertaining and sustainable by the year 2023. It has given itself a target which is 2023. Right? Next, why do we need this policy? Because aerosports creates significant opportunities for growth now. Right? India has the potential to become one of the world's leading air sports nation. Because it has obviously got a huge geographical area, varied topography and pleasant weather. Right? So, one thing that you should understand, what are air sports? Or air sports cover which all significant parts? Aerobatics, aero modeling, model rocketry, amateur built and experimental aircraft, ballooning, drones, gliding and power gliding, hang gliding and power hang gliding, parachuting, skydiving, base jumping, wingsuits, etc. and paramotoring, powered aircraft, micro light sports, rotorcraft. All of these activities are covered under air sports. Getting my point? Please try to understand the differences between air sports. So the air sports that are covered as part of the National Air Sports Policy are these. Then next important point, that we all know that there are some basic objectives of this policy, that is it encourages the country's air sports culture, it facilitates the implementation of international safety and best practices in air sports infrastructure, equipment, operations, maintenance and also training. Right? The policy has been established to enhance the situation of aerosports in India with the goal of making India a global hub for air sports policy by 2030. Remember this year. So as per this policy, India would be a global hub for national or international air sports by the year 2030, that is 7 years from now on. Right? So this is about the policy, but as part of this policy, the point that is very much important is that under this policy or as per this policy, 4 governing bodies or under the governing structure of air sports, these governing bodies shall be established. There shall be 4-tier governance structure for air sports. Namely, in the first place, we have Air Sports Air Sports Federation of India as the apex governing body. Then we have national associations for individual air sports or a set of air sports. Then we have at regional level or state level or union territory level. Then there comes the district level. Right? Understanding? First thing is at the top, at the helm is Air Sports Federation of India. Then below 3 tiers include state-wise, next district-wise, and next regional-wise. Sorry, national-wise, region, that is state-wise or UT-wise. Then comes district-wise. This is about the National Air Sports Policy. Then we have Migration in India report. Migration has been a way old phenomenon which is observed not just now. It has been here since time immemorial. People usually migrate to one place from another in search of job, food, or because of famine. Right? Suppose, let's say I'm in Karnataka. I studied my engineering. I did my graduation here in Karnataka. Unfortunately, I'm not finding any relevant or good job here in Karnataka. So suppose if I get to know that I have a very good paying job in Delhi. So without any second thought, since I'm a graduate looking for a job, I'll immediately think of moving to Delhi. So this is migration in search of job, right? So like that, from people from many states such as UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, they often come to a few wealthy states such as Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala in search of manual labor jobs. This is intra-country or interstate, you can say. Intra-country, which means within a country. Interstates means between state to state. Migration can also happen inter-country or country to country. Also, it can also happen within a state, means people moving from one district to another district. Excuse me. Right. So as per the latest data, Tamil Nadu is worried because recently one incident happened wherein a Hindi-speaking person or a laborer was beaten very badly in a train. So after this video surfaced onto the social media, many laborers started leaving Tamil Nadu and they started going back to their homes because life is precious than anything else, especially money. So that's the reason it has worried Tamil Nadu, because Tamil Nadu is worried now because after a potential flight of migrant labor, after recordings appeared showing alleged assaults on Hindi-speaking males. Now, what is the concern? Yes, the incident happened, like he was beaten, and this video surfaced. But the worry now is industry organizations, because they need labor. They are worried because this would lead to an exodus, which would negatively affect Tamil Nadu's industrial and manufacturing sector. And here it is believed that almost 1 million migrant laborers are working here. Almost 1 million means 10 lakh migrant laborers from across the country have come to Tamil Nadu to work in the industrial and manufacturing sector. So if no suitable or safety measures are ensured or taken or given by the government of Tamil Nadu, people would definitely, especially these laborers, would definitely move out of the state in search of better places. So this has been the worry. And this is a table which indicates that gender-wise migration that is taking place in the India. Primary sector, it includes 4% male. In rural, 75% would be female. In urban, it is 20% and 65% male. Right? So this is the highest rate of migration with respect to any particular sector. So just have a brief overlook look at it. Next, looking at the census of 2011, as per 2011 census, number of internal migrants, that is interstate or within state. Here, internal migrants include those migrations that are happening in India. That might be between one state to another state, or that might be within a state, within one particular state, that is from one district to another district. So such migrations are called as internal migrants. And as per the 2011 census, in India, about 45.36 crores, making up of nearly 37% of India's total population are migrants now. So nearly 37% of India's population is living as migrants in India, and the annual net migrant flows amounted to about 1% of the working age population. So now India's workforce was 48.2 crores. This figure is estimated to have exceeded 50 crores by the year 2016. Right. Next is the State of Inequality in India report 2022. This report was released by the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister is publishing this report. So the question might be really simple. Who or which of the following institution releases the State of Inequality in India report? It is published by the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. Alright. So the report compiles data on disparities in areas of household characteristics, the labor market, health and education. Inequality in what form, in what amount or in what percentage is existing in India across genders, across states, across districts, covering the entire country. Right? As per this report, inequalities in many areas increase population vulnerability and precipitate a rise in multifaceted poverty. Right? So the objective of the study, or the significance of this study, is that by providing a thorough study that determines the ecosystems of many forms of deprivation in the nation and nation, and that directly affects both population well-being and overall growth. Right? So as per this report, the labor force participation rate has actually decreased. Right? The labor force participation has actually decreased. Then unemployment rate is greater. Sorry, labor force participation rate. What is labor force participation rate? I have previously explained. Labor force participation rate means employment given to those people who are working, who are willing to work, or who are in search of job opportunities. It includes all those people who are working. Please pay attention. Labor force participation means it includes all those people who are working, who are willing to work, as well as those who are looking for jobs. So these three categories of people together make labor force participation. So as per the latest data, this rate is low, significantly low in urban areas compared to the rural areas. Also, unemployment rate is very high in urban areas compared to rural areas. Please pay attention. Unemployment rate is high in urban areas compared to rural areas. Right? So household facilities are also very good in rural areas compared to urban areas. Right? So that is about this thing. And next is about anthropogenic emissions. Anthropogenic emissions. It is as per the Intergovernmental Panel's climate change IPCC's assessment reports. IPCC has released so far 6 assessment reports. So out of that, 6th one was released recently in various parts, in 4 parts. So it was released by the group that is IPCC. 6th assessment report has been released, and this report oversees the climate sciences for the United Nations. Right. So as part of this report, what you should understand, see, 6th assessment report has been released by IPCC, that is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It is the 6th in a series of reports. The objective of these reports is to provide scientific, technical, and socio-economic information concerning climate change. Since it is IPCC, obviously anything that it is doing will be concerned with the climate change. And this report evaluates the physical science of climate change, which means by looking at the past, present, as well as future climate. It also reveals how human-caused emissions are altering our planet and what that means for our collective future. Right? So far, like I said previously, barring 6th one, 5 reports have been released. That is 5 assessment reports have been released starting from the year 1990. In the year 1990, IPCC's first assessment report was released. Then after that, it was in the year 1995 that the second report was released. Then in 2001, 7 and 15, 3rd, 4th, 5th respectively, these assessment reports were released. So in the year 2022, 6th assessment report was released. You all know about IPCC. It is an organ of the United Nations, and it's actually an intergovernmental organization of the United Nations. It is responsible for advancing knowledge on human-induced climate change. All right, it was established in 1988 by two organizations. One is World Meteorological Organization and the other one is United Nations Environment Program. Okay, this is a potential question. When was it established? It was established in the year 1988. By whom? By two institutions. One is WMO, that is World Meteorological Organization. The other one is UNEP, that is United Nations Environmental Program. And where is it headquartered? It is headquartered in Geneva, which is in Switzerland. The basic function is to provide policymakers with regular assessments of the scientific basis of climate change, its impacts and future risks, and also options for adaptation and migration. Right? Next, there is something called as Global Methane Pledge. Global Methane Pledge. We should understand what does this mean, when was it adopted, and what is the basic objective of Global Methane Pledge, or what is that pledge particularly. So it was launched in the year 2021 and it aims to maintain the 1.5 degrees Celsius target, which is set by the Paris Climate Agreement. So more than 100 nations, precisely 111 nations have agreed to cut worldwide methane emissions by how much? By at least 30% from 2020 levels. By when? By 2030 once again. So 2030 is the target. The aim is to cut methane emissions by 30% by 111 countries worldwide. So what is the significance of this cutting down of methane emissions? See, this reduction might save more than 0.2 degrees Celsius of warming by 2050. And it also becomes significant since India is a part to this pledge, because India is one of the top 5 countries in the world for methane emissions. Yet it is not a signatory to, India is not a part of Global Methane Pledge. Please understand, correct me, correct yourselves. India is not a part of Global Methane Pledge. And this becomes worrying because despite being one of the top 5 emitters in the world for methane, it is not a party to this pledge. And in India, the majority of source for methane is from agriculture. Not just India, from across the world, it is from the agriculture itself. And sometimes from various other products too, this methane escapes from the earth environment to the upper atmosphere. All right. So one thing that you should know about methane is that compared to carbon dioxide, it is very short-lived, a short-lived climatic pollutant, just like hydrofluorocarbons, and it lives in Earth's atmosphere for a number of years. And please remember, methane is a combustible gas that is utilized as a fuel all over the world, and it contains a significant amount of, so natural gas contains significant amount of methane. Please remember, methane is a combustible gas and natural gas contains most of the methane, or a significant amount of methane in it. So Global Methane Pledge was adopted in 2021 as a part of the Conference of Parties 26. COP26 was held, and as part of this, the Global Methane Pledge was adopted. And try to, if you know, comment down in the comment box below that where was COP26 held, which was held in the year 2021. What was the place where COP26 was held? And coming back to Global Methane Pledge, please note that it's an initiative which was led by the United States of America along with European Union. It has 111 country participants who are responsible together for 45% of global human caused methane emissions. And most importantly, like I said, India is not a part of this pledge. That's it. Next, methane is a gas that is found in small quantities in Earth's atmosphere. It is the simplest hydrocarbon, we say, and it consists of 1 carbon atom and 4 hydrogen atoms. That is why we write it as CH4. It consists of 1 carbon atom and 4 atoms of hydrogen. It is a powerful greenhouse gas. Methane is a powerful greenhouse gas. It is flammable and is used as a fuel worldwide. Alright, so methane is produced by the breakdown or decay of organic material and can be introduced into the atmosphere by either natural processes or human activities. Which are the natural processes that produce methane? the decay of plant material in wetlands, the seepage of gas from underground deposits, or the digestion of food by cattle. Surprisingly, all these activities release methane naturally into the atmosphere. And if you look at the human activities which are responsible for the release of methane into the environment, then that includes oil and gas production, rice farming, and waste management. All these together account for the release of methane into the atmosphere. And why it is worrisome? Because methane is 84% more potent than carbon and doesn't last as long as in the atmosphere before it breaks down. So this makes it a critical target for reducing the global warming more quickly while simultaneously working to reduce other greenhouse gases. So methane is also responsible for creating ground level ozone, O3. Ozone is, so it's in a stratosphere, but ground level ozone can be created with the help of methane. So ozone is a dangerous air pollutant. What are the various initiatives with respect to methane pollutions or with respect to air pollution that India is running? One is Haridwara, second one is India Greenhouse Gas Program, third one is National Action Plan on Climate Change, fourth one is BS4 to BS6 shift. India has directly jumped from BS4 to BS6 by missing out BS5 targets, emission norms. Next is global ocean acidification. The context was, according to a recent report, the world's oceans have become more acidic as a result of the rise in atmospheric carbon dioxide. So, if the pH level is below 7, we call it as acidic in nature. If the pH level is above 7, we call it as alkaline. So recently it has been noted that by 2100, the Great Lakes, which include Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie and Ontario, may begin to become slightly more acidic. So, and what is the reason for increasing acidification or increasing acidity? First is please understand, ocean acidification is the process through which excess carbon dioxide that is there will be that salt water is receiving from the atmosphere causes it to become increasingly acidic. So the main blame is on carbon dioxide here, and that carbon dioxide is the direct outcome of human being or anthropogenic activities. So because of that, this carbon dioxide that is being absorbed by salt water, the acidification of oceans is increasing. So once the acidification increases or the salt water becomes more acidic, then it becomes unsustainable for human beings as well as those living beings which are present in the ocean or seas. Right? So this is a food chain. If any one particular section is affected, then definitely it affects the whole chain or whole food web. So that's the reason it is very much important to limit the acidification of oceans, because it indirectly, if not now, definitely in the near future, it will affect the human beings. Right? So ocean acidity, how is it rising? It is rising over time as a result of chemical reaction that has starts when carbon dioxide dissolves into water. Right? Dissolves into the water. Technically, carbonic acid is created when CO2 and water react, releasing large amounts of hydrogen and bicarbonate ions. So then the water becomes more acidic as there are more hydrogen ions present, and the main cause of ocean acidification is this particular thing. Right? Next there was India Arctic policy. So recently the policy titled India and the Arctic subheading was Building a Partnership for Sustainable Development was unveiled by the Ministry of Earth Sciences. Please remember, India at present is an observer in the Arctic Council, which consists of 13 slots. India is an observer. So the Arctic Council is an intergovernmental organization. What does it do? It encourages study and fosters collaboration between Arctic nations on matters pertaining to the preservation of the environment and the sustainable development of the Arctic region. Please remember, India's Arctic policy rests on 6 pillars. One is science and research, second one is climate and environmental protection, third one is economic and human development, fourth one is transportation and connectivity, fifth one is governance and international cooperation, fifth one is national capacity building. These are the 6 pillars on which India's Arctic policy is dependent. So like I said, Arctic Council is an intergovernmental body that promotes research and facilities cooperation and facilitates cooperation among Arctic countries on the issues related to environmental protection and sustainable development of the Arctic region. So if you look back at India's engagement with this particular region, that is Arctic, you'll understand that it began when it signed the Svalbard Treaty in 1920 in Paris. So India's Arctic engagement began way back before it got its independence. Even during the British colonial times, India, began its engagement with the Arctic region by signing a treaty in the year 1920, which is called as Svalbard Treaty, which was signed in Paris between which countries? Norway, the US, Denmark, France, Italy, Japan, Netherlands, Great Britain, and the Ireland, and the British overseas dominions and Sweden. Right, concerning Spitsbergen. Spitsbergen is the largest island of the Svalbard archipelago. It is a part of Norway in the Arctic Ocean. It is the only permanently inhabited part of Svalbard, and more than 50% of the land is covered in ice. Together with the glaciers, it is mountains and fjords that define the landscape. Ever since then, India has been closely monitoring all the developments in the Arctic region. For example, in the year 2007, it began its Arctic research program, and then now it is also focusing on research on the dynamics and mass budget of the Arctic glaciers. Right? This is the Arctic region. Please do not get confused with Arctic with Antarctic. These are two different regions. For those who are new aspirants, I'm telling you this. So Arctic region includes Russia, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, Greenland, which is a part of Denmark, then Canada, also USA. All right. The Arctic region or various parts in Arctic region are shared by these countries. Next, we have Arctic amplification. What does this mean? It means at least 4 times more quickly than the rest of the Earth, the Arctic is warming. So ice glaciers are melting, ice cover is decreasing, which in turn is increasing the sea level of various regions across the world. It means at many places lands would be submerged and various islands too would be vanished, right? So the biggest effect would be the Barents Sea. Barents Sea would be affected greater than any other place on this earth. And with respect to UPSC or from UPSC perspective, from this particular topic, what you need to understand is that the meaning of Arctic amplification, which means more than quickly than the rest of the earth, the Arctic is warming. And the second point is the location of Barents Sea or Barents Sea. It is located north of Russia and Norway. So it is shared by Russia and Norway. It is rising at an alarming rate, that is 7 times faster than the world average, and it's in the Eurasian portion of the Arctic where the warming is more concentrated. Right? So this is Svalbard, which is a part of Norway. Here comes Greenland, and like I said, it has been shared by Norway, Sweden, Finland, Russia, USA, Canada, and Denmark. This is Bering Sea here. Mission Life Initiative. It was launched by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Statue of Unity in Ekta Nagar in Kevadia. So Mission Life here, life stands for lifestyle for environment. It was launched in the presence of UN Secretary General, that is Antonio Guterres. And climate change and environmental degradation are a global phenomenon. As a result, cooperation from all countries across the world is very much necessary, right? So Mission Life has been launched by India, which has the tagline that is lifestyle for the environment, which basically suggests that you should build your lifestyle in such a way that it should not affect the environment. In fact, it should be in consonance with the environment that you are living in, because environment and human beings are both intricately linked. Both are very intricately linked. So any disturbance in one part would definitely affect the other part. So as a result, there needs to be a perfect balance between these two, right? So it says reduce, reuse, and recycle, and also it places special emphasis on circular economy. right? So that's it. So that was it for today. I hope today's session has been really helpful. So don't just listen to these classes, start making notes out of it. Yes, of course, I'll be sharing these PDFs, but having PDFs, that 30 to 40 PDFs is different from having a separate handwritten notes. A notes which is made up of important significant keywords by you itself. So that has more weightage, or that has more value than these PDFs. So I recommend, or I advise all of you to make notes on your own, with your own analysis or understanding, based on your own understandings. So thank you so much for joining. See you in the next class. Take care. Bye bye. Have a good day.